The story begins by introducing us to a city called Kansai. It is part of a futuristic world where technology has greatly advanced. Here, we see our main protagonist, called Swindler, leaving the house to go shopping. While walking, she risks her life to save a cat from certain death. After setting the cat free in an alley, she then decides to shop at a stall. But just then, a customer drops a coin which draws her attention to it. When she returns the coin, the man tells her that dropped money is bad luck before speeding off. When it's time for Swindler to pay for her food, she insists that she has no cash, so she begs the lady to give her some time to come up with it. However, the stall owner quickly calls the police on her. Elsewhere, we are introduced to a man that goes by Courier, who transports illegal things requested in exchange for money. He is so efficient at his job as his ride allows him to beat the busy traffic. It is then revealed that Courier is a criminal known as an Akudama. The Akudama are classified criminals in Kansai. Those of higher ranks, which means that they have committed the most crimes, are well known by the citizens, and in order to eliminate them, a division of executioners was created under the direction of the government. Courier has accumulated a sentence of 745 years, and we see him arrive to deliver his package in the midst of a gang war. Later, we are introduced to another Akudama called Brawler, who at the moment is engaging the city's police force in a battle which he seems to be enjoying. After the battle, he receives a job to rescue an Akudama called Cutthroat, who is scheduled to be executed soon. Cutthroat is the top-ranking criminal in the city with 999 murders. In a building, we get to see another Akudama called Hacker having fun robbing a bank online. He too receives the mission to save Cutthroat for 100 million. On the bus, the last Akudama called Doctor receives the exact same task out of the blue. When the time for the execution arrives, the Akudamas prepare themselves for action. Meanwhile, at the station, Swindler is given her name as she had money with her but still refused to pay the stall owner. Everyone's attention is then drawn outside where Brawler has begun fighting. The fight ends up at the station, but by this time the other Akudamas have made their way in. When the police chief discovers the Akudamas have come for Cutthroat, he moves quickly to execute him before they can rescue him. At the entrance to the elevator, Courier and Brawler begin battling each other. During the exchange, a poisonous gas is thrown by Doctor, who wants to get past with the least hassle. However, Brawler quickly recovers from the poison and tosses her through the roof, so she ends up alongside Hacker, who planned to do things from a distance. With every Akudama present, their intense situation is interrupted by Swindler, who just wanted to save a cat. When they discover she's just a normal girl, they all gang up on her. In the panic, she reveals that she is Swindler, an Akudama who managed to trick the system. Shockingly, they accept her as a rival for the prize money, but just then a police tank arrives and begins to wreak havoc on them. The ground collapses into a section and we meet another Akudama called Hoodlum, who has decided to join the mission. As the countdown begins for Cutthroat's execution, the Akudamas arrive just in time to stop it. The whole place is thrown into chaos as the Akudamas battle both each other in the tank. When Courier gets stuck, Swindler decides to help him by drawing the tank's attention to herself. However, it attacks Hoodlum instead since she is not a registered criminal. After the dust settles, the police chief is beheaded by Cutthroat, who has regained his freedom. This would be his 1000th kill, and as I said before, he is the highest ranked Akudama. Everyone present is then made to wear collars with bomb implants. To show its legitimacy, an officer's head is blown off using the collar. As they freak out, the black cat saved by Swindler reveals itself as the mastermind of the operation. She informs them the rescue operation was phase 1 of the mission. When they check their balance, 100 million has been credited to everyone. This makes them pay attention as she reveals the plan for phase 2. She reveals the next stage is to attack the Shinkansen, the only means of entering the next city called Kanto. Everyone is shocked because Shinkansen is regarded as a holy entity that is worshipped by the people of Kansai. When the group boards a bus, Cutthroat gets infatuated with the red colors as he loves blood. He begins hitting everything red, so he triggers the emergency throttle, making the bus accelerate uncontrollably, so it ends up crashing into a hotel. In the crash, Hoodlum and Brawler seem to hit off their brotherhood. Their little party is then interrupted by the security of the hotel, so the Akudamas clean them up. Later, the cat explains that the job is to steal a certain cargo that will be transported on the Shinkansen. When it explains the plan to infiltrate Kansai Station, it informs them of the importance of each member of the team for the mission to succeed. As they make preparations, 2 special police officers called executioners arrive at the scene, so Brawler begins to battle them. When Cutthroat joins the fight, he is easily pushed to the side. Brawler and the female executioner continue their intense fight, but when he is knocked down, Cutthroat shows up from behind but is killed before he can do anything. Next, Brawler battles the male officer. As they battle, he has him at his mercy until Courier intervenes and makes the entire building explode. Later, the group rendezvous in an abandoned factory where they make a new plan. They finally arrive at the station, so Swindler and her team begin executing the mission while the others do the same underground. When they find the room with the buttons, there is a barricade blocking the entrance. In the doctor's team, Brawler succeeds in brute forcing his way through obstacles. On the other hand, Cutthroat has also found a way to penetrate the barrier, and in turn both groups manage to pull off the first step of the operation simultaneously. When they get to the platform, Brawler activates an EMP which shuts down the barriers. The disabled barrier signals Courier, who begins driving in. However, Hacker reveals there's a problem with the plan. He comes up with a solution that counts on Swindler taking the risk of boarding a container that might be vaporized if a certain certain condition is not met. However, she takes the risk and successfully boards the Shinkansen. She quickly locates the lever to open the door in time for Courier to board. After the train departs and everyone is on board, the cat instructs them on what to do. But during the conversation, the executioners try to break through the barrier. So the cat instructs Brawler and Cutthroat to take care of them while the others try to acquire the cargo in a vault. As everyone takes action, Brawler goes on the offensive and succeeds in knocking down an enemy. He then proceeds to the male executioner, who is stronger. Meanwhile, Courier decides to join the battle as this is the only way to get his bike. When the others get to the next point, Hacker begins doing his thing, but just then the train suddenly speeds up. The cat tells them it is an indication that they have 5 minutes to get into the vault. The time limit makes Hacker excited as he enjoys the challenge to beat it. Back to the fight, Courier fires at the executioner, who dodges the bullet, making it hit Brawler. However, he catches it with his teeth and spits it out with so much force that it wounds the executioner. When Courier fires at his comrade, the other executioner becomes even more compelled to defeat the Akudama. He punches Brawler so hard he spits out blood. When Swindler shows concern for Brawler's injury, Cutthroat decides to step in. However, Brawler gets up and appears to be more motivated. As Hacker leads the non-combat group forward, they are shocked to find out the Shinkansen has passenger seats. Out of everyone, Cutthroat turns out to be the only person giving the executioner a hard time, which angers Brawler. Meanwhile, the train enters into the quarantine zone. The cat reveals that when it gets to the decomposition zone, everyone on the train would die. Hacker successfully opens the door, but they soon find out that the door leads to the security room. Hacker manages to disable the arms system, and at the same time, Courier uses his bike to evade the executioners. Together they arrive at the last door to the vault. However, when Hacker tries to open it, it is revealed that they need a special key. And at that moment, the cat bids them farewell and decomposes to reveal the key. They finally open the vault only to find 2 kids inside. With the mission a success, Brawler reveals he is going back to Kansai to fight the executioner again. However, the child informs them the mission is not over yet, as they have to safely transport them to a location. When they head back, Hacker stays behind on the train, stating that he is heading to Kanto, which is the train's destination. At the police headquarters, the superiors reveal to the executioner's boss that the Akudamas are alive and have stolen cargo from the Shinkansen. Later, the kids reveal the coordinates to their next location, called the Expo Park. When Brawler reveals he is hungry, the child offers them a flask that turns water atoms into any kind of food mentioned to it. So everyone uses the flask to wish for any food they want. At the police facility, the boss comes to inform the 2 executioners who failed their mission that they have been suspended. Later, she orders a city-wide search for the high-rank Akudamas, so all the executioners in the city are alerted. As the Akudamas head back to town, they find the male executioner is already waiting for them. Brawler sees him and immediately goes to fight. Meanwhile, Courier attempts to get away with the children on his bike, however his escape attempt is foiled. On the other hand, the executioner is furious as he goes all out, intending to destroy every single one of them. When Hoodlum goes to check on Brawler, he suggests they run away while the executioner is distracted on the others. But instead, Brawler explains that he can't just pass up on a fight like this. Although Swindler's escape path is blocked by the executioner, Cutthroat doesn't let any harm come to her. He uses the children as a shield to land an attack on the executioner. But in the process, he accidentally injured the child, making Swindler mad and uncomfortable with the whole situation. As she panics about the boy's injury, the sibling reveal there's no need to panic as he has the power to regenerate. The other Akudama then band together to create an opening so they can escape, leaving Brawler behind to slow down the executioner. The 2 then engage in a wholehearted fight to the death. In the rain, they seem to be enjoying fighting each other. At the climax of the battle, both fighters end up finishing each other off. Elsewhere, the group arrives at the designated location and the child activates a lever that reveals an underground entrance. Before they enter, Hoodlum shows up to reveal that he defeated the female executioner, and Brawler is dead. After heading down, they find that the park is an underground city. When they get to the tower, the child reveals it is a rocket for traveling into space. They plan to use the rocket to head to the moon, where they would be out of reach from the government. The boy then narrates that they were modified as a result of experiments being carried out in the Kyushu plant along with thousands of other children. Eventually, after the experiment was successful, he soon found out that he was modified by utilizing the other children. After a while, the facility managed to produce another immortal child, so they decide to refer to each other as siblings. After he finishes his story, he releases the collars and they all part ways. As they climb to the platform, the girl is attacked by Doctor, who knocks the boy down to enraging Swindler. Swindler is also attacked, however Cutthroat protects her. At that moment, it is then revealed that Doctor has an alliance with the executioner's boss. In desperation, the boy tries to escape, however the commander reveals that the moon they plan on escaping to is actually an illusion, since the moon was already destroyed during the war ages ago. The commander then orders for their execution, but then Courier uses his bike to create a distraction. In all the chaos, Swindler is attacked, but Cutthroat intervenes and fights numerous executioners to protect her. The boy then sees an opportunity, so he rushes to help Swindler and his sibling escape using the space rocket. As the space rocket heads to the moon, there's an alert that the vessel has run out of fuel, so it begins to descend back to the ground. But just before they're about to crash, Swindler manages to activate the emergency escape function. At the crash site, Swindler tries to pull the child out of the rubble. She succeeds and the child's injuries heal quickly. After walking for a while, Swindler is exhausted, so she takes a quick break. When she arrives at her area, she tries to purchase food, but her her seal displays her wanted poster. Everyone starts to panic, so they run away. Meanwhile, Hoodlum finds Doctor in a pub, but she rats him out to be an Akudama. As he is assaulted, he reveals that he knows the location of the children, so Doctor saves him as she is interested in their immortality. Swindler and the child find an abandoned building with lots of canned food, which they help themselves to. At night, she cuts off her hair to change her appearance as much as she can. Shortly after, the owners of the building arrive. They turn out to be low-level Akudama involved in human trafficking. When they begin assaulting the child, Swindler rushes to attack the enemy. However, the leader has a gun pointed at her, so she begs him to have his way with her but spare the child. When he gets close, she stabs him in the neck. They get shot at, so Swindler picks up a gun and fires a shot that hits her target. The last enemy manages to sneak up on them, but luckily, Courier arrives just in time to save them. Before he leaves, Swindler begs him to deliver them to the location of the other child. Although he refuses at first, Swindler manages to convince him. Courier takes them to his safe house where they eat and make plans for their mission. In town, Doctor and Brawler notice there's a riot in the city. Citizens have begun killing any Akudama on sight. It is revealed that Swindler sent numerous messages that resulted in a massive riot on the streets. The executioners team up with the police department to find a way to manage the situation at hand. Just then, they receive an intruder alert in the station. As Courier along with his group head to the roof to rescue the other child, they stumble upon a mountain of corpses with Cutthroat on top of it. He isn't friendly this time as he rushes to attack Swindler. During the struggle, he is unsure about taking her life, revealing that he always saw a halo of blood over her head and he has been waiting for it to grow before he kills her. Swindler runs from a psychopathic Cutthroat who chases her all the way to the toilet. Despite her attempts to hide or escape, he continues to tail her by following a blood trail only he can see. He enters the room to discover Swindler has a weapon that she tries to use on him, but eventually he inevitably has her at his mercy. However, at the last moment, she reveals another concealed weapon which she uses to pierce his heart. When they get to the roof, the executioners have already taken off with the child, so they begin to chase after them. On the way, they are stopped at a checkpoint where they are discovered to be Akudama. Meanwhile, the boss pressures the police chief to stop the uprising by marking all citizens Akudama, making the robot police open fire on everyone present at the checkpoint. Shortly after, the executioners arrive at the station and Courier also arrives at the same time. However, the child is put back into the vault before they get there, as Swindler chases after the vault. Doctor arrives at the scene to stop her. She then goes after the executioners who are unable to harm her. She implants a needle in the subordinates' hearts, but still the female executioner can't kill her as it would make her an Akudama. Doctor is delighted as she has control of the entire situation. But everything begins changing when Swindler tries to sweet-talk Hoodlum into being upright like Brawler, who he admired. When Doctor realizes her speech succeeded, she quickly knocks out Courier. In the intense situation, the rioters begin barging into the station in hopes of boarding the Shinkansen. In the stampede, Hoodlum stabs Doctor to take revenge, however she manages to kill him before she dies, and everyone then boards the Shinkansen before it takes off. On the train, Hacker's drone suddenly comes to life, and through it Hacker reveals that he saved them all from the decontamination zone. They go outside to find buildings floating around the Shinkansen, and Hacker leads them to a black mechanism which he calls Kanto. He explains that everyone in Kanto converted their minds into data, and the black mechanism is a quantum supercomputer that holds their consciousness. When they ask for the children, he points them in the direction where their bodies are being invaded by Kanto. He tells them that for Kanto to survive deterioration, they made the immortal children so that they can become their new vessel. Swindler immediately tries to stop the process, but she is repelled by a force field and thrown down. She continues trying but keeps getting repelled. Hacker then decides to help her from the inside as his mind is already in Kanto. Once inside, he starts hacking the system, but its firewall starts breaking down his consciousness little by little. He gets excited as he continues plunging further into his death. In his last moments, the children assist him and he manages to break them free. Outside, Swindler successfully saves the children, so they head into the Shinkansen together. As they arrive back in Kansai, the Shinkansen is blown into bits by the executioners. In the crash, the children try to help Swindler, whose leg has been injured. As they hide, the boy has given up hope of survival. Swindler tries to encourage him, but he knows deep down they don't stand a chance against the executioners. Swindler then offers Courier the 500 yen coin as payment to transport the children to Shikoku, a secret location revealed to them by Hacker. After she bids them farewell, she reveals herself to the executioners to stall for time. Luckily, they don't recognize her, so she poses as an ordinary citizen who got caught in the explosion. However, they soon discover that she is Swindler, so they execute her instantly, unknown to them that they are being live streamed. Meanwhile, Courier is surrounded by the entire executioners squad, so he tries to fight them all alone, but their numbers overwhelm him greatly. Despite the child shielding him, he still gets wounded. At that moment, a child appears on the scene. As they try to take her away, she kills an executioner. Shortly after, a new uprising begins, but this time their anger is directed toward the executioners. It is revealed that before Swindler was killed, the masses bought her story about her innocence, so now they are holding the executioners accountable for killing an innocent citizen. In the midst of the chaos, Courier creates a distraction and quickly makes his escape. Along the way, Courier suddenly stops and tosses them off his bike, and they notice that he is at near the end of his life. He goes on to give them the coin and directs them on how to get to their destination. He then goes back to confront his pursuers, who start firing at him. He begins battling them, destroying their aircrafts one after the other. During his last exchange, his bikes reach the end of their capacity, so they are blown away together. Meanwhile, an aircraft chases after the siblings, so Courier tries to shoot at it. As he aims, there is a blackout which allows him to blow the aircraft into bits. Later, the children reach the entrance of the city, and so they head in together. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.